All right, what if you could actually achieve your 10-year plan in the next 6 months? I know it sounds completely insane, but according to organizational psychologist Benjamin Hardy, it's not about working harder or pulling more all-nighters. It's about a radical shift in your mindset. So let's dive into how it works. Think about this for a second. Are you putting in the hours, you're trying to set goals, but you just feel frustrated, stuck? Kind of like you're caught between two giant rock faces closing in with absolutely no clear way out? Does that sound at all familiar? Look, it is so easy to feel overwhelmed and just lost in the weeds of everyday life. But here's the good news. There is a way to cut right through all that haze, and it starts with a completely different way of looking at what actually drives you. Okay, so let's talk about your future self. And no, this isn't just some fluffy daydream. This is the absolute core of a revolutionary way of thinking about your life and your goals. This right here is the paradigm shift that unlocks everything else. So get this. This quote comes from Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps. He noticed something incredible. The people who endured the most horrific, unimaginable conditions were the ones who had a compelling future to live for. For him, it was rewriting a manuscript the Nazis had destroyed. His insight is just profound. Having a future goal isn't some luxury. It's a necessity. It's a tool for survival and for meaning. You know, we're all taught that our past defines who we are today, right? Our experiences, our traumas, our successes, they all add up to create our present self. But Hardy argues this is fundamentally wrong, and honestly, it's what's keeping us stuck. And this slide just illustrates the new model perfectly. It's not your past that determines your present. It is your vision of the future. A super clear, committed picture of your future self is what literally pulls you forward. It dictates the choices you make today, the skills you learn right now, and the person you become. Get this. Your future is what causes your present. We all do this, right? We put off saving money, we eat the junk food, we skip the workout, and we tell ourselves, future me will deal with it. We treat our future self like some stranger we don't really care about. The key is to completely reverse this. Start acting like a friend, an advocate for that future person. Because guess what? They are you. So if your future self is the destination, how do you get there way faster? Well, the first step is not about adding more to your to-do list. It's actually about subtraction. True strategy is about elimination. The 80-20 rule is a perfect way to think about this. Chances are 80% of what you're doing is just noise that's only getting you 20% of your results. The secret to making that exponential progress is to identify that critical 20% and then just ruthlessly eliminate the rest. It's such a simple but powerful idea. You don't need more good ideas, you actually need to say no to most of them. Progress doesn't come from just throwing more stuff at the wall to see what sticks. It comes from having the guts to eliminate anything that isn't getting you to that 10x future you've envisioned. And this idea just keeps building on itself. When you have a truly massive, ambitious vision for your future self, your filter for what you say yes to becomes incredibly high. You start saying no to things that even other successful people would probably say yes to. That's the difference. Okay, so you've defined your future self, you're focused on subtraction. Now, let's get practical. Let's talk about the actual tools you can use to make success pretty much inevitable by engineering your environment. This concept is an absolute game changer. A forcing function is basically a commitment that outsources your willpower to the situation itself. So instead of relying on motivation, which we all know comes and goes, you create a situation where you simply have to act. And the cool part is, you can create these for yourself. Go set a public deadline for a project. Boom, that's a time function. Find a workout partner you can't let down. That's a social function. Or you could take on way more responsibility, like David Goggins did when he had a daughter, which totally raised the stakes. That's an increased load. You know, the Pygmalion effect is a super powerful social forcing function. We are shaped, whether we like it or not, by the expectations of our peer group. If you surround yourself with people who expect more from you, you will naturally rise to meet those expectations. Your environment literally creates you. David Goggins has such a raw, powerful example of this. When he was at a really low point, he started just staring at himself in the mirror and being brutally, uncomfortably honest about where he was. Then, he covered that mirror in sticky notes with his goals. He created this daily, unavoidable confrontation with his present and future selves. Now that is a forcing function. And hey, don't forget maybe the simplest tool of all, a journal. Writing is how you make your future self real. It's where you have that conversation, where you persuade your own mind and body, and where you give a concrete form to those intangible desires. So when you start combining all these ideas, a clear future self, strategic subtraction, and an engineered environment, you don't just get a little bit of improvement, you set the stage for an exponential transformation. This is such a key insight. Aiming for 2x growth just means doing more of what you're already doing, but maybe a little better. But aiming for 10x, that forces you to throw out your current methods entirely. It forces you to ask a totally different question, which automatically gets rid of that 80% of activities that were never going to get you there anyway. Let me throw a crazy number at you. In the United States, only 1 in 200,000 companies ever reaches over $100 million in revenue. That's 0.0005%. That's what a true extreme outlier actually looks like. And this is where it all clicks. If your ambition is to be a 0.0005% outlier, then your filter for what you say yes to also has to be at that level. Your ambition defines your strategy of subtraction. The bigger the future you're aiming for, the more you have to say no to right now. Ultimately, your future isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you decide on. The person you will be in 5 or 10 years is being created by the choices you make today, based on the vision you hold for them. So, the real question is, who are you going to choose for them to be?